Welcome back, Sebastian here. So time for my review of the sprint race for the US Grand Prix. So it started with Verstappen on pole, Leclerc second, and F1 but Sainz starting on the medium tires. So a lot of teams learning from Qatar, and that on these higher deck circuits, the medium is the way to go in the sprint race. So Leclerc gets a really good start, pulls up alongside Verstappen, but Verstappen basically closes the door on him extremely aggressively, sends Leclerc all the way to Mexico. Effectively the pit lane. But Verstappen keeps the lead though, but Leclerc loses P2 to Hamilton at the start. There was also, on the replay they showed that there was some small contact between Sainz and Piastri. Don't know if this did anything to Piastri's car, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but Sainz also overtook Norris for P4 at turn 12, making use of those soft tires. Lap 2, Perez started putting pressure on Piastri right away. Natural, he's in a Red Bull, should be a very, very good car in the races. And he finally overtakes, he overtakes Leclerc the next lap, or overtakes Piastri the next lap. Lap 3, for P6 at turn 12, the preferred overtaking spot of today. Then we get to lap 5 a couple laps later, and Hamilton started catching up to Verstappen very, very quickly. Verstappen had dropped about like a second the previous lap or so, but so it looked like maybe we might have had a race on the cards, but it turned out it was just a temporary blip in Verstappen's lap times. Gasly then overtakes Piastri at turn 1 for P8. So I thought this was not the Perez overtake, but this overtake kind of had me wondering if this was an issue with the car or if Piastri was really just struggling with the tires and with race pace, because remember, he did have that contact with Sainz at the first lap. Possible it might have caused some damage in the suspension. Who knows? We don't really know. And that's something that we might find out afterwards. Lap 6, Russell overtakes Piastri off track, and that was under investigation. And eventually the stewards would give Russell a 5-second penalty. It looked pretty clear cut, and I'm kind of surprised that they didn't just that Russell didn't just give the position back to Piastri, as he clearly had the pace to re-overtake him again. Lap 7, Albon now overtakes Piastri for P9, and that was under investigation for overtaking off track, but that was decided to be not a penalty, and there was no further action. So at this point, Piastri's dropping down the field like a stone after qualifying in a pretty decent position, while his teammate Norris is doing a pretty good job and is battling Sainz for P4. And lap 8, Norris makes his first of many attempts to overtake Sainz at turn 12. Can't get it done. Lap 9, Piastri, black and white flag for track limits. The only driver today who did get black and white flag for track limits, showing just how much he was struggling. Lap 10, Norris eventually gets past Sainz on basically his third attempt at turn 12 and gets up to P4. And I think it really shows the McLaren's lack of straight line speed. The fact that it took them that long to overtake Sainz in the Ferrari compared to Perez in the Red Bull the following lap. Lap 11, Perez overtaking Sainz, first real attempt at turn 12, just showing the difference in straight line speed and overtaking ability between the Red Bull and the McLaren. Lap 14, Russell attempts an overtake on Sainz, but gets the cutback at Sainz gets the cutback at turn 1. So good defense there by Sainz. Stroll then drops behind Ricciardo and Alonso after being ahead of both of them, so not sure what's going on there. And then lap 17, a couple laps later, Tsunoda overtakes Stroll, and he comes on the radio. This might have been a delayed message, but he says, "I have no brakes." So he pits to retire the car. Some kind of brake failure, brake issue of some kind. Clearly decided it wasn't worth driving anymore. But of course, when you have no brakes, you can't really drive the car anyway, so it's really the best thing to do in that situation. Final lap of the race, lap 19, the Russell Albon gap was 6 seconds. Of course, Russell's carrying a 5-second penalty. He's already lost position to Gasly. Gasly is only about 2-3 seconds behind him, but Albon was 6 seconds behind, so still a chance for Albon to get that position. Zhou was given a 5-second penalty on the final lap for overtaking off track a couple laps earlier, and I believe that was on Magnussen. Verstappen duly takes a checkered flag, wins another sprint race, and Albon doesn't quite get it. 5.3 second gap at the end, so 0.3 seconds after Russell's penalty is applied. So taking a look at our result, Verstappen first, Hamilton second, really good result from him. I think he finished about 10 seconds off Verstappen, but still finished, I think, 10 seconds or so ahead of Leclerc, so really good pace from Hamilton there. A bit concerning for Ferrari, especially with the full Grand Prix length race tomorrow. Norris was 4th, right behind Leclerc, 5th Perez, 6th Sainz, 7th Gasly, 8th Russell. Really good result for Gasly, getting 2 points in the sprint. 9th Albon, very close to another point. 10th Piastri, 11th Ocon, 12th Ricciardo. Really good for him, finishing ahead of Alonso and Aston Martin, really highlighting the struggles that Aston had in the race. 14th Tsunoda, 15th Hülkenberg, 16th Bottas, 17th Zhou, 18th Magnussen, and 19th at his home Grand Prix is Logan Sargent. Of course, your one DNF was Lance Stroll retiring with brake issues. Now, onto the championship we go. We did get some changes in championship order here. So Verstappen continues to lead the championship, has won the championship, leading with 441 points. Perez second, 228. Hamilton did close the gap on him, 201, so the gap is now 27 points with 5 Grand Prix and 1 more sprint to go. 4th is Alonso, somehow holding on to 4th place. We'll see how long that lasts. 183 points. Sainz 5th, 156. Leclerc now only 5 behind, 151. 7th Norris, 141. 8th Russell, 133. 9th Piastri, 83. And 10th, moving up to 10th place is Gasly with his 2 points from the sprint. Now has 48 points, 1 point more than Stroll in the Aston Martin, who drops down to 11th. 12th is Ocon with 44, 13th Albon 23, 14th Bottas 10, 15th Hülkenberg with 9, 16th Zhou with 6, 17th and 18th both with 3 points are Tsunoda and Magnussen. 19th is Lawson with 2 points, and then Sargent, Ruiz, and Ricciardo all on 0 points. So a bit of an interesting race. I would say the 3 big talking points coming out of the race. First, I would say, let's see, I'm gonna go with I'm going to go with Mercedes/Ferrari pace. So I think, given how big the gap was between Leclerc and Hamilton in the sprint race, given that Leclerc starting on pole tomorrow, I think there will be some conversations about Ferrari's lack of pace and Mercedes' pretty decent race pace. The McLaren is hard to say where they fit in. Norris spent most of the race behind Sainz, and Piastri struggled quite a bit throughout the sprint. So it was difficult to say how the McLarens did. I think another thing that's important to note is the Aston Martin race pace, ? So Aston Martin really struggled at the sprint. I expected Alonso to get at least into the top 10, given that they've generally been a bit better in the race pace than in qualifying, but still pace was pretty poor. Alonso dropping some positions at the start and never really regaining them, so basically finishing in 13th. Last, I think we'll say overtaking challenges. So I was kind of surprised with how difficult overtaking was. Usually this is a circuit where overtaking is generally not that difficult, especially compared to other tracks on the calendar. But drivers definitely struggled overtaking. Norris took a long time to overtake, and that might just be the difference in car characteristics between, for example, the McLaren, which we know is draggy, lacking in straight line speed, and the Red Bull, which we know is very, very good with straight line speed. So that's definitely something to watch out for tomorrow with some of the cars trying to overtake. Norris starting on the front row. If he's having this much trouble overtaking Sainz on the soft tires, means that his only real chance of getting Leclerc is either going to be through strategy or through getting a really, really good start. And of course, Perez overtaking Sainz so easily definitely bodes well for Verstappen, starting from P6 tomorrow in the main Grand Prix. So that's all for the sprint. An all-right result. Not quite as exciting as last time out in Qatar, but still I think we still have a lot of unanswered questions about race pace, tire deg that we will have answered tomorrow in the race. So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.